All right, we are going to be taking a look today at the 12th chapter of Mounce. This is the third edition of Mounce Grammar. And what we're going to do is kind of go through this chapter 12. It's a little bit less strenuous this week for both the chapters that you'll be dealing with. Chapter 12 is going to be due on Wednesday night by midnight, and then chapter 13 will be due on Saturday night by midnight. And as I say, neither one is quite as complicated as it has been. But let's go through it right quick. Note, first of all, the exegetical insight written by I. Howard Marshall about pronouns. And so take a look at that. I think you'll not only enjoy it, but maybe it'll help you learn a little bit. He gives you some English information on the inflection of English pronouns, and it's important to note that comparison, if you will. But it is certainly, I mean, just informational. And then as you move into the Greek, you're going to meet some forms of autos. The masculine form is autos. The feminine form is aute, and then the neuter form is auta. We have generally called this the third personal pronoun, but Mounce suggests, and I think it's a wise suggestion, not to think of it simply as a third personal pronoun, but think of it in its three functions. It has it performs three distinct functions, and we'll look at those a little bit later on. It does serve as the third personal pronoun, but it also serves in a couple of other ways. You will want to learn this paradigm on in section 12.3. Now the reality is you've already learned the vocabulary, autos, aute, auta, and you've already learned the endings. It's the second declension and first declension endings for nouns. As, uoan, oion, oasus, ace, ain, on asas, and then a, u, o, a, and a with the alpha, a, on, os, a. So it's not difficult to learn, but you do need to learn it because I'll probably ask you to write that on the quiz. Some of these forms anyway, so make sure that you know about them. The other thing that will help you to remember this is that the endings are like the adjectives. You have masculine, feminine, and neuter forms for these, as he points out in 12.4. Tells you how to parse it and how to deal with the gender in 12.5 and 12.6. Look at the three uses. This is very, very important. It will help you to understand it a lot better. Well, the first use that we're going to talk about is as the personal pronoun. It'd be he if it's in masculine, she if it's in feminine, and it if it is in the neuter. The same thing would be true with the plural. It would be they or their or to them or them if it's in the accusative. So it would be translated the same way, whatever gender it might be, as you use it if you use it as a personal pronoun. So read carefully what he says in section 12.8 as he talks about that, and that continues over on page 102. Be sure to notice that. Then the second use, and this is also used frequently in the text, and that is it's as he calls it, an adjectival intensive. What it is, it's an adjective that is used to intensify, to emphasize something when it's used in this sense. And so, when it does this, it normally modifies another word and usually is in the predicate position, as he points out. But you would translate it with the reflexive pronoun, like if you saw autos ha apostolos, it would be the apostle himself. You see the emphasis. That's where the emphasis is there. So read carefully what he says in section 12.9 for that. And then you move on to section 12.10, and in that section he talks about its function as an intensive Usually it's in the nominative case, not always, but normally it is, and it modifies the subject. So it's just something that helps you. So read carefully what he has to say there. Nothing to memorize or learn. And then in 12:11, he gives you the third use, and that is as an identical adjective. And all that means is it would be translated, for instance, if you look at the example, and again, after going away, he prayed the same thing. You see the use of ton, auton, logon. So it would be the same word is the way that would be translated. So again, read that. Read the footnotes. Be sure to pay attention to what he is trying to say. Note the summary. Again, that's a good way to review. Go back and re-examine those things that you don't feel comfortable with. Look at the vocabulary. Let me pronounce it, and if you will, remember to learn the article with it. Remember to learn the nominative and genitive forms of the nouns. But I'm just going to pronounce the basic vocabulary, lexical form, and give you a chance to repeat that, if you will. So you start off with I own, and then didaskalos, euthus, heos, mathetes, man. That's a particle that you'll see. You'll learn the uses of that as you go along. It's used to, if you want to say something like on the one hand this, on the other hand this, that's how that's used. You'll see that used. And then medes, the four other forms of feminine and neuter are medemia and then medan, and that is no one or no one thing. You can see the combination of the negative particle and the numeral one is what that is. And then manas, that's something by itself, it's alone. And then you would have hapos, and that's a word that means how or that, or sometimes in order that. And then hosos, I'm putting the emphasis wrong on that. It should be hasos, because it is an omicron in both cases. And then if you move on, you have that very important word that's translated often therefore, and that is the word un. You'll see that very often. Athomos, you will recognize that as having to do with the eye. And then pollen, that means again. And then pous, and the preposition huper, with the genitive, it means in behalf of. With the accusative, it means above. And notice again, you have, when you learn these words, you will have learned 86,179 word uses in the New Testament. So you're doing pretty well. 62.37% of the word occurrences in the New Testament. Now he mentions singing Greek here. I want to remind you, I've been listening on my trip this week to the CD that has been provided. There's a lot of things in it. I really recommend it. Only costs about $10. You can get it Amazon or on the techniagreek.com or audible.com, either of those. But one problem with it is the pronunciation is not always clear. So you'll want to use the little booklet that comes with it as you go through it until you get familiar with that. But then I think you'll find the songs to be helpful. There's several things in there that I think you'll find that will be very helpful in learning some things. So let me encourage you to get that if you can, and use it. Just listen to it when you're driving or when you have time to do it. Okay, let's turn our attention, if we might, for a moment to the exercise 12. We'll talk about the quiz in the next video. More specifically, I do include it in the PowerPoint just so you'll know what's going on, but we will talk about that later. We're going to be working in exercise 12 in the notebook, and it's very similar to what we've been doing. You'll be doing all of the parsing words, use whatever tools you need to use. Just use it as a learning experience, if you will. Do the warm-up exercise because I think that helps you. And then you will translate sentences 1 through 5 and then sentence 8. Be sure to read and go back through your syllabus, then go through your PowerPoint. Use that PowerPoint as you do your exercise, and I think you'll find that to be helpful. All right, if you have any questions, please contact us. Just send an email. That's the best way. So we look forward to hearing from you.